Many of you know the Game of Thrones is a great fantasy novel. Some say better than Lord of the Rings. Well, it also has great food, and I found a great cookbook that will display some of the coolest dishes ever mentioned in the books, such as Sister's Stew, which actually is not mentioned until the 5th book, which I have yet to read, so please don't spoil it for me. As you can see, this requires cod, crab, clam, some white wine, some garlic, carrots, leeks, turnips, barley. It's got everything in it. So the first thing I did was chop up the vegetables, specifically the carrots, the leeks, and the garlic. Now, as you can see, the leeks are very weird, and if I could do this again, I probably would not put the leeks in because I don't think they added much to the overall stew. But they're the vegetables that will go in one of the first steps. But you also have to boil 1/2 of a pound of the cod in water. You see that's good chicken stock. Fish stock. Wow, fish stock. Now that we have, you just scoop out the leftover cod, put it in a separate bowl. That will go back into the stew once everything else is in. So you're gonna need that water later. The other thing to remember is you have to right away. The first thing you're actually gonna do is actually soak the barley. As you can see, it's in a bowl of warm water. It's got to soak for about an hour to make the barley kind of at the full size. It's actually a special pearl barley. It's not that special, but that's what I used for this recipe. It's what it was asked for. But now let's move over to the actual sautéing somewhat of the early vegetables. You put in some butter. It's supposed to be unsalted. I didn't do unsalted butter. I did regular butter. I don't think it really matters. You need about 2 tablespoons worth. I kind of just guessified that and I'm having trouble scooping with just one hand holding the camera, but okay. Time to put in the vegetables as the butter is melted in this big pot. This will be the pot you put everything in to make the final stew. I'll have to put those in later. Okay, so now that I somehow put the carrots in with one hand, let's get some wine. Some Pablo Rossi is actually a really good cooking white wine. You need about 1/2 cup of that. And I'm going to put that in. Once the carrots and the leeks start to soften up and get really tender. But you also have to, while this whole thing's going on, cut up one of those massive turnips that I was told is actually small for its size, the one I used, but I can't imagine anything being bigger than that. So cutting turnips with one hand, as you can see, is not incredibly simple. And I will probably have to put the camera down in order to continue the cutting. Yeah, this isn't working. Let's not do that. Okay. So now the barley's been soaking for about an hour. I'll pour that in with the vegetables and the wine. And then I add in the chicken stock, and that gives us some more liquid to kind of really make this into a stew. You can already see the wine boiling there. And there's the chicken stock, fish stock, wow. And the fish stock is, of course, 1/2 pound of the 1.5 pounds of cod that you need total for this recipe. That ends up being a lot of cod, but in the end it works out. Add in some thyme. They said fresh in the recipe, but here we're going to have a ground thyme. That should be fine. Again, just guesstimate about 1/4 of a teaspoon or tablespoon. It doesn't matter. I don't think it affects the flavor that much. Important though here, heavy cream. Luckily, you only need 1/2 pint, which is 1 cup of cream. However, because I'm holding the camera right now, I'm going to try to stab this carton with a knife to open it. This is proving futile, and I'm going to poke it now. And wow, I think it's going to work though, because it's only cardboard. I got a super awesome knife. Wait, there we go. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure if this is going to pour properly. So, okay, I did that in the background. Now I have a full cup of heavy cream. It has to be heavy, no half and half. That's just not going to work. Heavy cream, put it on a saucepan and get it warm. Don't even let it simmer, just get it warm. That's the key here. Now for some evaporated milk to add in some more dairy to this magical fish stew. And I have attempted to already open the lid with a special can opener. As you can see, with one hand, I am unable to open this can opener. And so I will do that also in the background and get back to you. Now that I have somehow opened the can, I will pour this into my concoction. As you see, the fish stock and everything else is kind of starting to get really hot, really boiling well. So I put in both the cream and the milk. Now here's all the fish. Some nice crab meat, 1 package of crab meat. Only need about half a cup. Not half a pound, that'd be a lot. Only about 1/2 cup of crab meat, but more never hurt. Some clams. Canned clams is actually okay because it has its own juice, which can help the fish stock. I drained out some of the juice because I didn't want to make the overall stew a little too watery. So there's going to be some clam, and there's a lot of cod, half cooked and half not cooked. Now I'm going to put in this stuff only when the turnips are soft. As you can see, the turnip is now squishy to a degree, and now with the vegetables ripened, I can add in all this fish. And of course, make sure that I put the milk in now that the vegetables are nice and tender. And then there's the cream, staying warm but not simmering. That's all in. Stir it up, give it just a couple minutes, if that, just kind of get it all settled in, and then you can start adding in the fish, keeping it on medium heat, never going above medium heat for the stew, which is surprising, but even with that, this will cook very fast once the fish is in. And again, with one hand, you see I'm very proficient in somehow scooping out this cod, and, well, okay, not perfect, but it kind of works. And now we are in the stew. That's the cooked cod. That's only half a pound. I still have a full pound of that. Look at all that cod I just threw in there, the uncooked cod. But this will cook in approximately 10, if not less, minutes, especially with the cover over the stew. So that's really cool. You just throw in the crab, maybe a little too much, but hey, I've heard nobody to have extra crab. And then the clams. Again, it doesn't ask for the juice from the clams, but I did add in the juice just for a little extra flavoring. It really makes a strong seafood flavor, which I'm guessing back in the Game of Thrones days they would have enjoyed that, especially down in the Iron Islands where they're just crazy. There you go. Okay, that's about half a cup of clams, 2 small cans worth. Now it's boiling, and it's going to be delicious, and you can hear the bubbles, and see them, of course. And wow, that is really good. This is Game of Thrones, and this is Sister's Stew.